I've been good in that way. I haven't been able to kind of stretch the creative muscles really at all.
Mm.
Being a dad, which I'm sure we'll probably talk about quite a bit.
Have you
Um,
played any video games?
just my Super Nintendo Classic.
Oh yeah,
You know,
nice.
so I got that, and I just figured I'm just gonna try to beat every game that's on there.
I,
So I
yeah, I did that with
beat
the.
Super Mario
Oh,
World.
sick.
Yeah.
I did that with the Sonic. Like, I was
Yeah.
like, I always got stuck at this one level, so I'm going to, because on obviously if you play it on a an emulated
Genesis.
version,
Oh, right. Sorry.
um,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can put
Cut that,
on
cut that, cut that,
cut that,
cut that,
cut that,
cut
cut
that.
that. You can put on like some mods, and there's ones which like
Yeah.
the only one I use is the rewind. So if you get
Mm.
murked by something, you can just be like, oh no, just rewind that, just and let me try
Which
the
in
jump
Sonic
again.
is so necessary.
Honestly, and
It's so necessary.
because of that, I managed to get to the fucking episode, the level where you're on the wing of a plane. And
Mm,
I was like, this is the furthest I've ever gotten in this game. Obviously by cheating. But it was also like,
sure.
this is the furthest I've ever gotten in this game. Because every
Yeah.
time I've played it normally, I've just crashed after like the third or fourth level.
Mm,
And then it's like, oh, this is fucking nails. And now I've lost all my life and I've got to start at one again. I don't give a shit. Whereas if it was
yeah.
like, oh, I can just keep going and keep going, it's like, oh, this game's dope once you get past the first four levels.
Yeah. Once you stop sucking,
Right?
it really helps. Because it's the same thing with me. So like Super Mario World, I have on rails. Like genuinely, I have that completely on rails. I played that so much when I was a kid. Every exit,
Mm-hmm.
every Star Road, beating everything.
Beautiful.
So that is totally on rails, and that was just a really nice kind of trip back. But then Mega Man X, I just beat.
Nice.
Um, Mario Kart,
Oh,
I beat
nice.
everything to open up 150 class, the
Damn.
150
Yeah.
cc. But I am not touching that
Fair.
because that shit is nails.
That Rainbow Road
That
fucked.
no, yeah, I'm not going anywhere close to that. And what was the other thing? So Yoshi's Island, I'm making my way through.
Nice.
And what's the last one? Oh, and Link to the Past.
Oh,
Zelda, Legend
nice.
of Zelda: Link to the Past. I'm making my way through because I don't think I ever got all of the unlocks because the internet wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah.
So I think there were things that I just didn't, kind of put two and two together on.
So with the
Not
Zelda
so with,
games. Oh yeah, go on.
and I was just gonna say not so with like Mega Man X or Super Mario World, because Zelda was a rental for me, blockbuster rental,
Ah,
which is going to be a running theme,
fair
but
enough.
blockbuster rental. So I didn't really have the time to do anything but what I was told to do.
When I was a kid, Ocarina of Time was the first Zelda game I played. So I never played like Link to the Past or the other ones.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and
Well, just the original Legend of Zelda.
yeah,
Yeah.
and someone I knew was doing a charity stream, and he was playing it on. He was playing the modded version where it changes up everything in all the loot boxes,
Mm,
so it's like a harder version of the game. And like he wanted to complete that, Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, and Pokemon Red in 24 hours.
nice.
He he didn't technically finish Link to the Past, but it was one of those. It was one of those sort of like while we were playing it, well, while I was watching him play, I was playing it. He was like, "Oh, okay, this gets me here, and then this has to be in this box, and if that's in that box, then I can just go straight to this. So I'm going to call that done." And I was like, "Yeah, all right." Like, and if I, get all the right numbers in the lotto, I'm a millionaire. Like,
Yeah, if I never get hit and constantly hit other things, then I win. So
bingo.
on to the next. Roll
And
credits.
and then he went on and played Ocarina of Time, and I think he played
Mm,
that. Did he play that mixed? I think he played that mixed up. So like you got the sword and the shield like way earlier, and but you also
mm,
got like the slingshot or something wicked early, and
mm,
all
mm.
that kind of stuff. And again, like he got a lot further than I would have got in 24 hours on that one game alone.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, we didn't get anywhere near like Pokemon Red. And I was like, I,
Yeah.
I don't think you could do Pokemon Red in 24 hours. Like, let alone a third game in 24 hours.
I think by design,
Right?
like it's not just not gonna let you do that.
Yeah.
Like I think it's just with
You
the
have
amount of
to
grinding.
grind. Yeah, as I say, you have to
Yeah,
grind so hard on like Pokemon that. What are you doing?
yeah,
Bicycling up and down that fucking path, like while your
yeah,
guys like
yeah.
leveling up for
Just
every step you take.
you have to go. Like I think if you just went on rails, if I remember right, and this is like I was like 11 when I played it. But I played it a lot, so you could take it to the bank. I think like when you got to if you were just on rails like
Yeah.
straight to the Elite Four, just doing what you had to do to get to the Elite Four, I think by the time you got to Victory Road in the Elite Four, you were like 10 levels lower
Mm.
than the first
Yes.
than the first one. Whoever the first one was. I think it was maybe Lorelei, I think. And yeah, you just getting your ass kicked
Yeah.
again and again. So
Handed.
now you have to grind so that your total, like everybody needs to be at that level, and it's like 50 or I think it's between 50 and 55.
Mm.
So that doesn't happen like that, you know.
No,
So
no.
I don't even know if it can happen in 24 hours. My brother. So I recently not got into it in terms of like playing it, although I've been streaming with my brother on Wednesdays
Shout him out.
usually. Mucifer on Twitch. Give him a listen or give him a watch. I'm there every week Wednesday, so if you like me, just tune in on Wednesdays.
It's a younger, better version.
Younger, sure. So the so we've been the first thing that I started playing with him was like a Nuzlocke. Have you heard of Nuzlocks?
No. Oh wait,
So-
yes, I know of a Nuzlocke. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically just we did like a completely randomized Nuzlocke for the fourth one, like platinum,
Mm.
because I had never played past the third one, and basically like your starter could be like Mewtwo.
Yeah.
Like it could be any, like everything is random, or almost everything is random, and then you could only catch the first Pokemon that you see on that route, and you have to use it and all that kind of stuff. So it adds an interesting kind of aspect of it. But if you lose all your Pokemon, like if you lose a Pokemon, he's gone. And if you completely get your ass kicked and they're all gone, then you lose. You just outright lose, and you have to kind of start again. So it's nice that it kind of adds that little bit of challenge to it. So that was fun. I will say this, totally unrelated. This is just for you.
Mm.
For October, we did like a series of like spooky games, just
Nice.
like one-off spooky games. Have you heard of the Mortuary's Assistant?
I think I've heard, but I haven't watched any of it yet. I haven't played or watched anyone play any of it yet.
You don't even, I'm not even saying go to his Twitch and watch it. Watch somebody play through that game.
Wait, is that the one
is.
where like you're walking through a mortuary sort of like at night, and then there might be someone just like stood in the corner of the room or like on the ceiling?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
god, yeah.
So it is one of the best. It is one of the most well done, at least in for me, right? Like jump scares, for me they happen once, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
And I'll get some enjoyment out of that. But it's the disturbing images, the fact the forcing you to interact,
Mm.
right? Like that happens, and you're like, oh my god, and then but when there's something standing in the corner, and you can either continue doing what you're doing, which is like embalming a body or a series of bodies, or like they won't let, or go interact with it.
Yeah.
That's when it gets crazy. And just the way that it does it, like just psychologically, it's honestly, it's fantastic. You would love it. You would genuinely love it.
With scary games, I am a pussy boy because I can't hack it. Like I played Alien Isolation, and like a buddy, it came up on Steam, like Steam chat, and my buddy was like playing Alien Isolation, and then he said like 5 minutes later, I saw that you were playing Crazy Taxi, and it was like yeah. It was too much.
Yeah,
for
check
me.
that out. That's too much.
Fuck that
no,
noise.
this one-
I'm out.
And so there's a bit of a spoiler. Like there is a way to lose that game, Mortuary's Assistant specifically. But one of the things that, and I don't know, maybe this will make it into the podcast, maybe it won't. One of the things that I think a lot of horror games do wrong, weirdly, is making you die to that thing.
Yeah.
Because once it happens, that's it. Like, think about Alien Isolation, right? You're freaked out the whole time because you do not want this thing to touch you. But once that happens and you come back,
Yeah.
it takes a little bit of the psychological edge off, I
Yeah.
think.
It becomes more
And
just an irritation of like, oh fuck, I've got to do all that
yeah,
again.
yeah. And you'll kind of, every so often get
Yeah,
that
yeah.
little bit of a jump when it happens and all that kind of stuff. I think the way that you would balance, the only way to really balance that from a gameplay perspective, I haven't really given it much thought, but like if you cannot, then all of your progression is lost, because then it's weighty, right? Like then that it keeps that fear regardless of how long you play,
Yeah.
because the consequences are dire. If you just come back at the last checkpoint,
Well,
yeah, then
the
it becomes a mechanic.
the Free League Alien RPG like tabletop game you can play,
Mm.
they have fear counters on, like, so when you're playing, so if you encounter an alien and you misroll, you then get a fear counter, and then your fear counter is a -1, or like, to your rolls. So if you have to roll 6 dice, your fear will immediately knock out 2 of them.
Yeah.
So it's just like, if you're afraid, you just constantly fuck up. And like you can do things, you can do a boost that means like you can negate one of your fear counters, and you can sort of work around that. But I think that's a much better way of doing it, a bit like what you're saying, where it's like it doesn't kill you, but instead of, you can't hold your little beep counter and walk in a straight line. Like you have to like tuck that away, or you have to hold it and then you have to look at it, so that there's a thing that just sort of, you're just not working at full capacity, so it never gets you, but it fucking terrifies you and like pretty much paralyzes you to the point where you're like, you can only go 2 rooms before having to take a minute. It's like,
oh,
okay, that would be fun.
That would be fun. But so Mortuary Resistance doesn't have that. Like it's there is a way to lose, but it's more in terms of like the endings that you get, and it's a surprisingly deep story, for something that's very simple. It takes place in, I think there's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 rooms in the morgue itself, not including the like the basement area, which is kind of like closed off to you,
right?
Excuse me, unless you do something, and then like you start the game like in her apartment. But I think it does it perfectly because of that, right? It's engaging with you, but you don't have health. You're just trying to go through this process of embalming bodies, and the whole story is that there is a basically like a demon,
right,
that is trying to possess a body, and in possessing the body, it's trying to effectively like kill you. Like you are a conduit for that to be happening. You as the character, Rebecca, I think her name is, and basically what you're trying to do is the person tells you that like the actual mortuary tells you, look, just embalm the bodies. There's certain aspects of this you're gonna
just embalm the fucking bodies.
Just embalm the bodies. It's almost a ritual.
Yeah.
You put this reagent in, and then you got to find out who the demon is. What's the demon's name? You put it on the mark. You do that.
Tell the demon to go fuck itself and crack back on with work, guy.
That's what it is. Keep your head down. So the real terror is capitalism, really.
Bingo.
Ultimately,
you want to
keep your head down and work.
That's Mr. Demon to you, sir, and you respect your authority of the boss.
That's right. He is an investor.
I mean,
he is an investor.
More and more recently, I have thought, if this film thing doesn't work out for me, I might just become a fucking morgue. Like, I might go work in a funeral home, or like,
I think you'd be great.
Mortuary. I'd love it.
I think you'd be great.
I would genuinely.
I think there's a lot of aspects of that. I know, I've known you for a while now. You get left alone, largely. You just pop in some music, a little podcast. You just do your bit, and then you go home.
Just cracking on. Ain't getting no shit from the customers.
Well, if you do, it makes for an interesting night.
Then I got the story written.
That's right. It's already
there is a good film that is in line with that Mortuary's Assistant game called The Autopsy of Jane Doe, which is Brian Cox.
I feel like I've heard of it. I haven't seen it though.
Oh, it's good. It's real good.
Yeah.
Like, I won't say anything else. Like, it's just, I think it's a father-son, or it's just an older, younger mortuary and his, like, a mortician and his assistant, and they have just got to embalm this Jane Doe, and shit happens.
Yeah, hilarity ensues.
Oh, hilarity does ensue, especially with Brian Cox. You know how he is.
Yeah.
He's a laugh riot.
When I think comedy,
yeah,
Brian Cox,
Mark
Twain, Jon Stewart, Brian Cox.
Welcome to Your Life in Film. I'm your host, Ted Bennett. Joining me today is Vincent L. Cannone. Vince, as I call him, is the author of The Breach, which was an idea he had for a video game that he adapted into his own novel. When nightmarish monsters crawl their way from the ground in New York, Frank Varis is caught in the devastation of the breach. After falling into a coma, he awakens with mysterious new abilities, and he is certainly not alone. Recruited by a group called the Council, whose goal is to save New York, he can feel something growing inside him every day, something that pulls him further into the shadows. Vince joins me from New York. I've read this book, Vince. You like to insist I haven't, but I've read the book.
Tell me what's on page 96 then.
I'll tell you exactly what's on page 96.
No editing. I am going to make sure that you do not edit this. I am going to continue to do it.
Well, you'd be shocked to find one intact. Got him!
You got it. Listen, I really appreciate you taking the time. I really appreciate you reading it. Genuinely.
Hey.
That means a lot.
To be fair, I read an earlier
And committing
draft.
it to heart is fantastic.
I'm getting passages tattooed to me, mate.
Appreciate that. Number one superfan.
Thank you very much. I have a copy of the book here, everyone. It's lovely. Vince, do you want to tell them where you can pick up a copy of the book?
You can get it on Amazon. Just search The Breach. You can search my name and it'll go ahead and come up.
And I'll have a link to it in the description so everyone can pick up a copy. It's definitely worth it, especially if you're like a video game guy, because you said you came up with the idea initially for a video game, and you know what? You can explain it. How did you come up with the idea?
I know you read it. I know you're part of the process. But yeah, it makes sense for me to say it, and I appreciate that. Yeah, no. So originally the idea was I had an idea for a video game. There aren't a lot. So the book itself is a horror fantasy epic, and I, kind of sword and board and kind of mages, wizards, rogues type of thing. There aren't a lot of kind of fantasies. Novels in that way set in the modern age. So I was very interested in kind of having that happen, in modern day New York. So the story does take place in modern day New York, and the breach, the titular breach, is an event that happens that is this kind of Lovecraftian apocalyptic event. Happens, it's the happens first, the first thing that happens in the book, and I won't go too into detail on it, but effectively the idea is that these people gain powers from having interacted. Certain people, not everyone, certainly not everyone. Many people die, but some people wake up with powers. So the idea behind the game, that was effectively the idea behind the game, is having that be the catalyst for why the player is in the world. But when I started to write the story, because story is incredibly important to me in gaming, specifically, when I started to write the story, I had that realization that I can't tell a player how they're going to feel at a certain, in a certain point. Because in my head, just take a step back, in my head it was like an MMORPG. But I can't assign feelings. I have no idea how, a player is going to feel about a particular instance. So I said, okay, let me just write the story. And I will write it with main characters. I will create some main characters because I could tell them how they feel. I could assign them, emotions and have them react to things. And then when the game eventually happens, the players will just, kind of carry on with those main characters, and they'll drive the story, and the players will help drive the story. So I kind of took that step back and just started writing, and I found that I really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. I always knew that I liked writing. I always really enjoyed storytelling, so it's not surprising to me that that would have been something I was interested in. It was more surprising to me just how natural it felt to just, I know these people, I know this world, despite not having ever put it to paper, and now I'm just gonna kind of get them from A to B.
It was amazing to see as well, because you had told us about this idea, and it was like, that sounds like a good idea. And then how long did it take to write?
So to write it itself, honestly, I think I started it in 2018, late 2018. All in, I ended up finishing it in 2024, but I didn't finish the story in 2024. There were a couple of business thing, you know, I definitely told you, you were
Mm.
genuinely a big part of the process while I was writing this, you know, trying to get a publishing agent,
Yeah.
trying to put together some, you know, a synopsis and everything that I needed to do for that, and kind of going through some consultants to try and figure out what the best way to get this published was.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't just consistent writing. I would say all in, just writing, just going through writing and editing and writing again, was I'd say about 3 years.
Because it felt a lot quicker.
It definitely did, because I had originally written, and this is just funny to, you know, it might not be as funny to people who already know, but I had written 162, it was 162,000 words in the first iteration of this book. And when I spoke to those consultants, they were like, no, nobody, no publisher, no publishing agent, and no publisher are going to read 162,000 words from a debut author. They were like, it needs to be 80,000 words. So I said, okay. So I chopped it in half, filled out the first story, and now I have the first book is written and published and available for purchase, and then the second one is basically halfway written. So so all in, you know, it's not just one book; it's kind of 3 years to effectively write a book and a half.
And I do love as well, because without, you know, going too much into it, this first book starts in one of the 5 boroughs. So the fact that going forward you could realistically do each borough as its own book, culminating in the big whatever standoff at the end, and then that's 6 fucking books, you know. And
yeah,
it feels like such a good way of telling that story, because each borough in Manhattan, well, each borough in New York does have its own little quirks and feel, and you can justifiably be like, oh yeah, that is different realms of a kingdom, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
it's so surprisingly similar when you think of Fable or something. It's like, no, you're just going to this other realm where, you know, Staten Island, it's the water realm.
yeah. It's it really is so funny. So I did not like it, I was very conscious, and you know, but I was very conscious of the fact that there are such, in some cases, right, like Brooklyn, the Bronx, and Queens is still, you know, very urban. Obviously Manhattan is Manhattan, but you know, those 3, Brooklyn, Bronx, and Queens, can be considered very similar, right? You know, in terms of the kind of urban out, yeah, just basically it's a very urban setting. But Staten Island is actually very green. There's part of the green belt is runs through Staten Island, which I thought was really interesting. But it's funny because, yeah, you think about like the newest Mario Kart just basically ripped the Breath of the Wild map.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have like your desert board, you have your ice board, your water board, and all that. Like Manhattan, being that it's an island, there's ways that the players, you know, in the game, and obviously the ways that the characters in the book kind of interact with that differently. But the idea too is, you know, it's starting in New York, but what's nice about it is I can't imagine that this is something that just happened in New York, you know.
No,
what how does this manifest in London, for example?
Yeah.
How does this manifest in LA or Tokyo, or Moscow? You know, how does all of how could be the same, could be different. You know, there's different adaptations and things like that of the creatures themselves. So it's using the diversity of our own world as a foundation is just kind of perfect. Like, it's already there. It's just a question of, well, how does this event interact with our world?
With your characters, when you were initially writing it, obviously as a video game, I'd imagine, I'll start that question again. With a video game and a book, they're very different, because obviously if it's a video game, you're trying to be this lead character and you're meant to be following the entire game through their eyes. So any character that gets brought in, it's usually just like, that's the first time you meet them, that's that. But with a book, you had to sort of bridge these characters and be like, right, well, here's plot B, and we got to follow that to link it back in. Did you have to do much sort of mental wrangling to change the story, or did you feel it quite naturally?
That's a great question. No, it kind of happened. It kind of happened very naturally, because I think whether I was writing it from the perspective of the player or writing it from the perspective of the character, I was still writing it from the perspective of people. So the disconnect really came from, well, I don't know everybody who's going to play, the inevitable billions of people that play this game. if and when I ever make the game,
Hey,
because I'm not a developer.
Fortnite will do a skin of it one
It'll
day.
exactly it'll that's true. And Fortnite could hold down the proverbial fort until I get that done. Um, but no, it was really just people, and I've always liked talking to people. I always like people are just very interesting to me.
Mm.
So taking these kind of connections, these relationships that happen between characters, the plots almost, I don't want to say came about on their own. There were a couple of main themes that I, knew I wanted to get in there that were obviously, part of my own life. I know some things affect other people, like like mental health issues and things like that. And doing, making them part of the plot, but not making them the plot.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm very wary of that too. But no, I think the connections happened pretty naturally, and I would say even more naturally when, again, these are characters that I come up with and I can control how they react to things. Yeah, the plot lines kind of just came together pretty naturally.
When you tried to make it a video game, was there ever a point, because this being sort of the second iteration of the idea becoming a book, did you ever try and think of trying to create the game independently on your own?
Oh yeah, yeah. So I had originally tried to, at one point I had signed up for both Unreal and Unreal Engine
Mm-hmm.
and Unity to try and do it myself. I have zero coding experience. That did not go very far.
Mm.
I'm sure. Well, I don't even want to get into that yet, but I'm sure, like, ChatGPT can help a little bit with the coding side of those things if I need a script.
But I imagine at that point, knowing zero, I don't know what code I'd ask. Like, can you make this sprite jump? And they're like,
yeah, I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I think so. I had tried it. And actually, so I do actually have like effectively like an RPG workbook.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to, in a perfect world, what I would do is get this to get the game project, to a place where I could just hand it off to a developer and say, these are the systems. So this is the inventory. This is the gameplay loop. These are the mechanics. Here's the artwork. I can, I refuse to use AI for artwork and things like that. Good. Which I'm sure we'll talk about AI a little bit later, but, get an artist to come up with the concept art and
Mm-hmm.
the design art, like sprite work, if I decide to go in that direction, but just get everything to a point where I could just hand it over to a developer and say, do this. This is going to be the combat loop. This is going to be, like I said, all the systems and all that, even the level design. One of the interesting things, and I had mentioned it to you, but it hadn't a while back, but I hadn't gotten that far, is just the idea of kind of the environmental storytelling within the game is interesting to me, because I did that with the book, and it was easy for me to do, or it's relatively easy for me to do in the written word, because I try to think about all of the senses. I try to build the reality around these characters, and it's not just what you're hearing, what you're seeing and who's talking. It's what are you smelling? What are they feeling? Really putting, so, if there's blood, the smell of iron, depending on how much of depending on how much of it there is, that's going to change some things, right? So yeah, I did try for sure, but I hadn't gotten very far. So I just kind of took a step back and said, no, let me just do what I can do, and then I'll send it to somebody to fill the gap that of the skill gap that I just don't have.
When I was reading it for the first time, it felt like it reminded me of Infamous, the old Sucker Punch game. And it had that real sort of, the idea of corruption, and then deciding whether you were going to go the good or the bad path, and like that corruption kind of dictating how your powers manifest and things. And I thought it was a really nice touch to do it. And it's interesting when you read books or you watch films and you think, oh, that's very similar to this, or you can see the influences from here. But to read a book and then find your influences through gaming, I found a really interesting sort of take. Were there any games that influenced your sort of the story direction you wanted to take it?
That's another good question. Not necessarily the story itself. I mean, the inspirations for the story itself came from, again, like I said, like there's a lot of, like, I always loved like high fantasy,
because you're a big WoW guy, aren't you?
Yeah, big Warcraft guy. The only reason I'm not playing it now is just because I don't have, as a new dad, I don't have time. But I would be for sure. So yeah, Warcraft being kind of again the sword and board, the magic, that kind of thing, the healing, all that kind of stuff. So big on that, big on Lord of the Rings, even in terms of games, actually
Yeah.
specifically, Shadow of Mordor being one, the Shadow of War, fantastic, fantastic game. So I would say actually, I'll take a step back and say, yeah, I think that those were ones that really influenced it. The Arkham series, the Batman Arkham series,
Oh,
definitely
nice. Yeah.
influenced it as well. The idea that there's a world, there's a playground, there is a world that encourages you to, in its perfect form, will encourage you to
Mm.
explore it with different characters, or excuse me, with different classes
Yeah.
specifically. Different classes might be able to get into different places. So yeah, I think in terms of the influences for the game specifically, it was that. I also love the free flow combat, excuse me, of the Arkham series. I think that's absolutely fantastic. From a story perspective, I would say the to the degree that it was influenced by anything, I think the idea of corruption as a resource,
Mm.
not from a gaming perspective, but from a story perspective, that you are tapping into this. That's been done before, right? A lot of warlocks in historically in stories do tap into some kind of life energy, for example.
Sure. Yeah.
um but the big one was actually, and you know we're not looking for a sponsorship from Warcraft, but Warcraft just had their
I'll
Legion
take
remix
one.
drop. Yeah, thanks very much, by the way, Blizzard, for the sponsorship. Legion Remix just dropped. So their Shadow Priest class, which
Mm.
I won't go into, I'm not going to geek out that hard,
Thank God.
but their Shadow Priest class was heavily influenced because it was just such a cool gameplay thing
Mm.
where you would you build what they call insanity, because it was this idea of you're kind of praying to the shadow, you're a priest of the shadow. And yeah, once you did that, it would empower your abilities, and then you would kind of go from there. So I like that. I really like that idea, and I had been looking for a way to work that in, work that into the story, and that provided a pretty good way of doing that. So yeah, so I think but in terms of the story itself, no, that was kind of just a combination of all of the influences that I've had in film and books and video games overall.
Well, I think that leads us quite nicely then into our first proper question. All the other questions have been, nonsense at this point.
Yeah, it's been garbage. If anybody's still sticking around,
Fucking losers, man.
yeah.
What was the
And
first
I don't
film?
shut up about it either. Sorry. Yeah,
What
sorry.
was the first film you saw at the? I'm going to say theater because you're an American.
No, I like that you say cinema, and I'm
All right,
going with that.
all right. What was the first film you saw at the cinema?
So the first film that I saw at the cinema, and by the way, I loved prepping for this. I really, really enjoyed prepping for this. I talked to Christina, my partner Christina. I talked to my friend Rob about it. And as soon as you ask these questions, anybody who likes film in any capacity is like, "Oh, what was mine?" And they go into it. So it's like really thought provoking.
Nice.
The very first film that I saw at the cinema was Jumanji.
Ooh, good choice. Well,
Yeah, so The Rock, Kevin Hart, Jack
bingo.
Black, really, really,
Oh, for the listener, Vince is only 7 years old.
yeah, I don't even think it's legal that I'm talking to you right now. But no, it was Jumanji, and so I think 8 years old at the time,
Okay.
and it was right around, I believe it was right around the time of my birthday, that it was in theaters. I could be wrong about that. It was we went for somebody's birthday.
I mean, we saw it at the cinema, and our birthday is only 5 days apart.
Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, yeah.
So
So
I
we went
think
for
it probably
our
was
birthday.
birthdays.
Which is pretty cool. That's a pretty cool thing to know. Knowing you and liking you as much as I do, it's cool that we were both seeing Jumanji at the same time. Um, so I was 8, and my dad took. It was just me, my sister, and my cousin, who lived with us at the time. Um, we all went, and yeah, I remember we went to my grandmother's house after that, and I couldn't stop thinking about not necessarily just the movie,
Mm.
and or the yeah, I guess it's a movie. The
It
the
100%
movie,
is.
yeah, it's certainly not a film. It's a 100% movie. But the I just remember the entire experience really impacted me.
Yeah.
Um, Forgetting like what was on the screen for a second, it was such a cool experience. Like being in that dark room and the lights going down, or being in that room and like kind of looking around and seeing, everybody else, we're all there just watching a show together. And the lights go down. It was a feeling of like community too, not just, during the film when people are reacting to it, but even after the fact, people are talking about it after, and you're thinking about the same things. And at the time, I think the best way to describe kind of how I felt was I felt like the magic, like it made me believe in that magic.
Mm.
Like I could believe that that's real. It's not exactly grounded, right? Like it's, but as an 8-year-old looking at that, let's put it this way. I never really looked at like a board game the same again, not for a long time at least.
Yes.
Because you think about like, oh, what if?
Mm.
And again, it's not the case.
What if Monopoly was a real thing?
Imagine we all just struggled. Like there's like one person that's like really good at it because they just happen to land on the right stuff.
The bank is always in control.
I'm glad I gave that disclaimer at the top. Anyway, no, but it just made me believe in that magic. And honestly, like it was looking at the kind of board games, it was like, what would that look like? As like, if that happened, like that would be pretty cool. What would a board game look like if it was based on that? And so on the screen itself, I felt so much. Like I felt sadness and fear and happiness and laughter, and I'm sure it'll like awaken some fears in me, like thalassophobia. Yeah, thalassophobia.
Falling into a wooden floor and then being stuck there.
Or Kirsten Dunst, like the spiders coming at them in the attic. Kirsten Dunst getting shot with the vines out of nowhere.
Yeah,
like
that's pretty
the
dark.
thorns.
Turning into a chimp.
Slowly turning into a chimp. Not thinking about like the accessibility of pants. You got to rip that because you got to make sure we got to account for that. But like, but as an 8-year-old, I didn't realize it at the time, but looking back on it, it's like you're very self-centered. So to have something that was completely separate of me, that had no impact on my life, make me feel all of those things so deeply was really impactful. And
Jumanji is quite an odd sort of film because it's shot and paced as if it's a adult film. It's not like a kid's film. It's quite dark and it's quite moody, but we all watched it as kids and we all loved it.
Yeah.
Like I remember when it came out on VHS, like it was one of the films that my mum was super psyched to get on video. She was like, oh, Jumanji's out. And she bought it. And I think there's a couple of films that my mum, the second she put it on, like, I think it was that, Jumanji, The Mummy, and something else, I can't remember what it is. She would put it on, she loved it, she just rewound it and she watched it again.
Yeah, so it's actually funny you bring that up because there was, I forget which podcast episode from prior, but I remember you talking to the guest about and you could edit in me remembering exactly who it is, but you were talking about kind of the edginess of older films, specifically what were supposed to be like family like kids films, like kids TV shows and kids films having an edginess that they don't really have anymore. And I do actually agree with that. I like to an extent. I think.
I mean, you are currently drinking out of a Bluey mug. Yeah.
And Bluey is one of the best shows, most well-written shows on television.
Edgy as a Satsuma, but yeah.
Very true. Very true. Very true. And a Satsuma is a Japanese sword, right?
Yes. So
okay, got it.
All edge, if anything.
Sure, it's all edge. Nothing else. Duplicitous edge.
Yeah.
You might say.
And I'm always edging. Continue.
Sure. Got that. But so I think you're right in that there is an edginess to older films that doesn't exist anymore. But I think it's really interesting because having a 3-year-old, like I'm constantly looking for movies and shows that we can watch together. And one of the things that we're trying to, avoid to the degree that we can is, like violence. Like, all right, if it's violence can be scary, depending on how it's done. So we're kind of looking at what are some of those kind of shows out there. And I was shocked, like when you think about the like violence in kids movies, even in years past, again, you think about Sleeping Beauty, you have the dragon,
Yeah.
and the fight with the dragon, Beauty and the Beast. There's a lot of torches and pitchforks. There's the wolves, like, there's a lot of that kind of violence that happens. But it's interesting because I don't think that's what made those films edgy. I think they had depth.
Yeah.
They had a depth that I think is missing now because, and the reason I bring it up is because Cars 2, like Cars is Cars, but we tried to watch Cars 2 because we're like, David loves Cars. Let's watch Cars 2. Cars 2 starts. Have you seen Cars 2?
No.
Can't imagine you did. Cars 2, Cars 2 starts with a full-blown 007-esque shootout where cars are getting hit and they are bleeding oil.
That's pretty dark.
But because it's not blood, it gets the rating that it does. This is how it opens. This is how the whole thing opens. I mean, it's insane. Like it is crazy. So I think it's interesting that it really like started making me think about it. It's that there's an edginess that's missing, but not because like certain aspects of it are missing. I just think that we're not telling the depth of story that we would tell in the past. Like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, famously, they barely use their weapons.
Yeah.
Guy's got like 2 swords on his back, Leonardo does. And no, he's not using them. It's like, you can probably be way more effective if you use that, but you're not. You understand? Because you can't just lop people's heads off in a kid's TV show.
Well, you should have been able to, but whatever.
You should, But
Also, did you call them swords or samurai swords?
I called them swords.
Good, because they're not samurai swords.
I knew that. I'm not going to say why I knew that.
Because there's no curve in the blade.
Is that actually true?
Yeah.
Are they katanas?
No.
Okay.
Because that's what a samurai sword is, katana.
Okay, got it.
I can't remember the name of their swords, but like Leo's swords.
It's a satsuma.
It's a satsuma. It's a straight blade, so it's not a samurai. It's not a katana. But they changed it to a katana in. I think they changed it to a katana in the live action movies, but in the cartoons it was never it, and in the books it was
they were straight swords.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of the violence, it's actually surprising to me to still see the prevalence of what could be considered like violent. Again, it's kids violence, right? Like it's The Incredibles, for example. But there's not really the depth of story that there's not nearly as much. And Christina's going to geek out when she hears this one because I famously have a past with this movie. But Labyrinth, like the movie Labyrinth, there's not nearly as much violence in Labyrinth.
No.
But I would say it's a darker story.
Oh, I wouldn't feel comfortable watching Labyrinth. Like as a kid, I'd feel more awkward watching that than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is it's silliness and it's light, even though it's not. It's a dark as shit film, that first one.
Yeah. So I did think that. So just to kind of because I forgive me, I feel like I'm rambling, but the edginess of the kind of something like a Jumanji, where it's like you're right. That was told as an adult film. Like that was again the hunter. Kind of appears out of nowhere, just hunting people.
And the fact that the hunter was played by the dad as well, that feels like such a why is that the dad? Like that could have been any other actor, and it didn't. It technically shouldn't have been the dad, but why did they cast the dad? Like that makes you have to look at it and be like, oh, okay, is this not happening? Is this in their heads? Is this a projection? Like what's going on?
No, it's again it's one of those small again it's not a subtlety, right? Like it's pretty in your face, but it's one of those details that you think about. It's like this is all kind of just crazy in general, and isn't real, but it was great, and the fact that they had to keep playing, like the only way to escape is to win. The only way to finish is to finish,
just like real life,
and just like real life.
And Monopoly.
So it does have, and again, this isn't going to be my special place in my heart movie. But it definitely had an impact on me. It definitely is. And one of the things that I will say is, and I've said this to you before, I'm totally going to bring down the integrity of this podcast because I'm not, like I am a film lover, yes. But I did not realize the art behind film until later. Like at 8 watching Jumanji, it didn't do that for me, but it was an incredible experience for me.
I will, to give you credit, you are a video games guy, and you saw the majesty of video games. Not necessarily like you didn't see it in the films, but you did see it. So
yeah,
I hear what you're saying about bringing this place down.
I'm going to bring it back because when we get to that question of the special place in the heart, I'll tell you. You've heard it before, but I'll tell you which one it is.
Perfect. So as a kid, what did you watch over and over again?
Yeah. So there were 2 that came to mind pretty consistently. So we had this little cabinet in our wall unit that was like separate of the TV that just had a bunch of VHSs. Yeah. Many of them weren't even like labeled. Yeah. Right. But it was right in the living room, so they were all safe. I think I never made it through all of them, but when I opened it up, sitting right there in the front was the Star Wars trilogy. Oh. The original Star Wars trilogy box set. And so there were two films that really came to mind. The first one was Return of the Jedi, specifically. Okay. And the other one was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze, which I know has made an appearance on this podcast before. So, again, in keeping with the, I didn't appreciate film for film at the time. A New Hope was good, but I just didn't love it. Like, it told the story, and that was, I didn't need it. And then Empire Strikes Back, I didn't like that the good guys lost. I didn't like the way that it left off. Yeah, it made me uncomfortable that's how it went down. Hearing that, spoiler alert, Darth Vader was Luke's father at the time. I know, man. I shouldn't have said it. I'm sorry.
Fucking, I have to beep that.
Can you got that?
No.
Just cut it.
This is live.
Okay. So
so all those slurs you were saying earlier, they're getting aired too.
Well, you had said something earlier too.
Well, hold on.
Yeah, okay. No, that's fine. We'll take it after. We'll do it over lunch. But no. So like, I just think at the end of Empire Strikes Back was very impactful. Like it mattered. But it made me uncomfortable as a kid. That the good guys seemingly lost. Yeah. Return of the Jedi was the one that I kept going back to because I felt like it had, everything. It had a lot of the same like space fights of, New Hope, lightsaber battles, but everybody was coming back with renewed vigor. Yeah. And kind of doing their thing, and it was, they get Han out, and everything about it was just I loved. And Star Wars itself was like, I loved Star Wars so much that like I was a big Legos guy when I was a kid, and I would build like X-Wings and Y-Wings and A-Wings well before Lego officially licensed nice Star Wars stuff. So like I was able to make like there was that like little hinge, it was like a 90-degree hinge one. So I would build X-Wings with like functional S-foils, and be able to kind of do that. I felt like a true engineer at the time. Like I was part of the Alliance. I didn't have any friends around to tell me I was a loser. Oh, God. So there you go.
Playing Lego, watching Star Wars. I'm ragging on that. And I'm fairly sure that's my entire childhood.
Oh yeah, no, I know. That's why you and I get to get along as well as well. Yeah. And then tucked away in the basement playing video games. Was the big thing. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 was the second one. So it's kind of funny, like I really in the prep thought about it, and hilariously in retrospect it felt very like real and grounded and gritty, and I think that basically solely comes out of like Casey Jones like walking just along like Central Park and just beating somebody with like the cricket bat. Yeah. But yeah, like I just remember it being like, yes, it's New York, like very similar to like how Home Alone.
New York.
They nailed
baby.
New York.
I mean, I'm looking over the water over here, and I'm seeing Manhattan.
They nailed pre-Giuliani New York. Nailed it.
Tip top.
Um, but
Bing
like in this,
bong.
so good. Like a very similar to like how a very similar feeling like when I watched Home Alone 2
Right.
for like the first time, also on VHS,
Donald Trump
and just
walking
seeing
through
him kind of
hotels. That
walking
kind of
around.
stuff.
Well, yeah, yeah, man. I'm just gonna pin in that. I'm just gonna pin in that. But
Yes.
but yeah, no. Seeing like Macaulay Culkin, walk around in New York, as a kid, and like seeing kind of like the brownstones, like
Yeah.
and all that. It just felt very like, yeah, this is real. This is very real. So I thought
How,
that was kind of funny.
as kids, how often did you go into Manhattan?
So interestingly enough, it wasn't a ton. Just admittedly, it wasn't a ton. But my dad actually used to work on the 21st floor of, I forget which tower, but at the World Trade Center.
Oh fuck. Okay. Yeah.
He left his job a month before. Was it month? No, it was about 3 months before 9/11.
Jesus.
And I remember very vividly
Mm.
what it looked like in there. I remember looking at the river
Okay.
outside of the like looking out onto the river. I remember very vividly what like the windows were just kind of straight up and then pointed up at the top, but not in like a traditional sense. They like kind of
Yeah.
really made like a bottleneck at the top. Yeah, it was, so I remember very vividly. But he would take us to work every once in a while, and and he would put us in a conference room and make us stuff mail for direct mailers, for basically whatever was in the vending machine. So solid childhood for sure.
So Monopoly in real life again.
Yeah. It definitely
Nice.
resonated.
Yeah.
Really resonated with me. But yeah, no. So
I think what I was getting at with that is that it's always odd when we grew up. I say we. I grew up in London, but I grew up in Crouch End, which on the tube it's maybe 20 minutes, if that, into the centre. But we didn't go into the centre. We had no reason to go into the centre of London. No. But you'd go on school trips to London Zoo, like, because that's the closest zoo, and you'd go to the Natural History Museum because it's the Natural History Museum of your area. And then moving out of London, you sort of like tell people that, and they're like, fancy, and it's like, it's not fancy, it's just how it is. And I imagine it's the same with New York. Like, if you're a kid and they're like, we're going to the zoo today, and it's like, yeah, Central Park Zoo, and it's just, when you see it in movies and you're like, that's just the zoo, I don't know why you're making a big deal of it, So
it's a very similar thing with, like, you're 100% right, because it's the same thing with like the Statue of Liberty, where it's like, I mean, I can probably see it from my house right now.
Right. Okay.
She's gonna look small.
Yeah. You can. Can't you? I think if you go out back onto the porch, you can see it.
I'm almost positive you can. Yeah. So it's such a kind of staple within your backyard.
Yes.
That, like, you're just like, yeah, no, that's what it's gonna be. So to your point about like class trips, yeah, MoMA, Metropolitan Museum of Art, Natural History Museum, what was the
Met?
other one?
Did you go to the Met?
The Met probably. The Met probably. Although I will say, I think at the time I would.
Yeah, the last time I went to New York, I stayed with you for a week, and I only went into the city once, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just went to the Natural History Museum, the Met, and the Ghostbuster House.
Yeah, and the Ghostbuster.
That was it. I was like, I got no other reason. I got nothing else I need to do in this town. Oh, and also the big apartment block from Only Murders in the Building.
Oh yeah.
What's it called?
Oh, I'm never gonna find.
I can't remember what the actual building is called.
Oh, that was cool. I forgot about that. Actually.
That's all I do in Manhattan whenever I go there now. It's just like, what film was shot around here? Oh, I'll go look at that.
Honestly, it's the best way to do it. I mean, if you're going to like, I mean, if you're going for the first time,
if you're going for the first time, get on one of their hop off buses, go up the Empire State, go up 30 Rock, do all the tourist shit, and have a great time.
Especially at Christmas time.
Oh,
yeah, if you come in at Christmas time, it's really nice.
Get out of here.
Rockefeller Center.
Like, it's...
Oh, hold on. Crazy. Total anecdote, but crazy. So, Rockefeller Center does the Christmas tree every year. Christina's friend, Judy, from, like, they grew up together. she moved up to Albany,
Mm.
and so she has a house just outside of Albany. Her husband's like grandparents planted a tree
Yeah.
like 75 years ago. That's the Rockefeller Center tree this year.
Oh fuck! That's pretty decent.
How crazy is that?
That is weird as shit, and I love it.
It's so weird, but like, I mean, this is a whole nother like section of the podcast, but like they had security for it, like constantly 24/7 security before anybody even knew that it was the tree.
I was gonna say,
like,
was it like years down, like years before it was chosen, or?
So she knew. So what she said was she knew that that was going to be the tree. I believe in August. August. It was sometime this summer. August is standing out in my head.
Okay.
But they made the decision in the summer and were like, that's gonna be our tree. So like take good care of it. But yeah, they put security around it. Like, yeah, they trimmed it. They made sure that it was like how it needed to be.
Bonkers.
And then they're gonna bring it over there. And now she gets VIP tickets to the lighting, so she's going to be like right there. She was on like one of the morning talk shows, like today in New York or something like that. So yeah, really just totally crazy.
That's
but yeah, so if you are in New York, yeah, that Midtown,
go see Vince's friend's bush.
Go see You got to come in for the shrubbery. You come in for the shrubbery.
They got wood and they're not afraid to show it.
Yeah, you come in for the bush and you stay for the ice. Anyway, so Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 was really grounded. I thought it was really gritty.
Yeah, sure.
I thought it was really gritty. Yeah. And so I was a huge fan of the cartoon too. Yeah. So that holds a special place in my heart. Also, this is again total another anecdote, but not complete anecdote. Something I think about constantly, like when I think about that movie and I think about all of the scenes in that movie, Toka and Razor, Vanilla Ice, the whole thing, right? I think about when I watch the VHS, because I would never fast forward anything,
right?
Like because it would just I'm all over the place. New Line Cinema had a trailer, because I think New Line Cinema was the one that did it. New Line Cinema, by the way, thanks for the sponsorship, New Line Cinema. They made another movie called Suburban Commando.
With Hulk Hogan.
I have never seen Suburban Commando.
But that trailer
is, and it's not like I looked at it and was like, oh, I want to see that.
Nope.
You know what I mean? Like I did not. I never bumped up against it even a little bit. But I would love to see Suburban Commando.
The amount of films that I only know because either I remember a trailer but can't remember the name of the film, or the inside the VHS box, because you guys had the slip, but we had the clamshell proper cases.
Oh,
I can show you.
Interesting. So we did actually have both. Yeah. Oh, that. Yeah. So we had some like. We had a bullshit version of that. Like it wasn't nearly as sturdy
as well.
Yeah.
You guys had.
Yeah, we had bullshit versions of that. Yeah. So we had sleeves. Yeah, we definitely had sleeves for some of them. Some of them, like specifically like the old Disney movies, had some like, bullshit cheap plastic.
Yeah.
Clamshell. But yeah.
But what were we saying? Oh, on the inside of the clamshell, there would be sort of other films to look out for. And I remember there was one, I think it was like Dentist or like Dental School or something too, and it was a really pale face, and she had a mouth open, and there was just like razor blades for teeth, and I was like, fuck, that scared the shit out of me.
Oh shit.
No idea about that film. I've never gone back and watched it. And another one which I think was
that feels like that's one that might be worth a watch though.
It might be.
If you could track it down, I don't know, maybe it's.
And I think there was one called Cellar Dwellers, where the poster is someone like in a drain, like underground, like screaming, going down in the water, and they're like halfway up their mouth, and it's like just run off water in their mouth, and they're like flying down a thing, and I don't think it was Cellar Dweller, but it is a film like Gravedigger or something. And I did track that one down, and everyone was like, I don't know why that's the poster. The film's about rats. And it's like, it's got nothing to do with, like, that poster. And I was like,
You're just gonna straight up lie to people.
crafty fuckers. I love that.
Yeah.
But, you say that. I bought a film on VHS the other month, a while ago, actually, purely on the front cover. And I'll show you now, because you're here. Oh, no, I've lent it out to someone. Oh, I can't. I've lent it to someone. But the front cover is this, like...
It's riveting for an audio medium.
Right.
Yeah, sorry.
The front cover was this, like, oiled up woman. It was a drawn cover, like, oiled up woman in, like, a flight suit with, like, the zip 3/4 down, big bulging tits, holding a machine gun, explosions behind her. And I was like, the fuck is this? And then I watched it, and it was this really tame U-rated film about archaeologists.
Wow.
And the film was called
I was gonna make the
Warriors.
joke.
Yeah.
So I was gonna make the joke that it's just like, you know, just like a grainy footage of like midnight mass.
Honestly.
You know. And that's not far from it.
It really wasn't. And I was watching it and I was like, when's this one gonna take a top off? And then like the more I watched it, I was like, if anything, she's putting more layers on. And I don't know if I like this.
And she should, for safety.
I'm just saying, it's a hot place, the desert. You shouldn't be layering up. You're gonna get heat stroke.
And safety, you know what? Safety is sexy. I don't want to hear it. I won't hear anything else.
Listen, when I've got my helmet on my motorbike, what's sexier than that?
Never feel more comfortable in my own skin than when my face is completely covered.
Smushed.
And not visible to anyone else.
I am wearing tight leather, though.
You are. Right now. I don't know why.
You can't see the lower half, but the underwear.
You say that, but I certainly can. I know you're proud of it. And you should be.
So what was the first R-rated film you saw, and how old were you?
So I struggled with this one too. It's one of two. It's either Speed or The Rock.
I mean, both bangers.
Yeah. So I remember Speed more vividly. So I'm assuming that's the one. Unless I just completely blacked out like The Rock from memory.
As a kid, I always remembered Jeff Daniels from Dumb and Dumber. So when I see him in Speed and dying, I remember that being really like, oh my god.
Yeah.
They've killed the guy from Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's great. That was some cast too.
Right.
That was a good movie.
Sandy Bullock in her prime.
Yeah. And a shaved Keanu Reeves head.
My mum used to fancy Keanu Reeves, so we watched a lot of Keanu Reeves films.
Yeah. Yeah, we usually watched like almost exclusively like we'd watch like, you know, family films. So like, we'd go to Blockbuster like every, you know, weekend. There was one that was like 3 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
It was like 3 minutes from my house. So every weekend or so we would walk up and we would get like a game and, you know, like 2 movies.
Yeah.
You know, one was a family movie and one was, you know,
mom and dad.
What yeah. And Speed was one of those actually. So it obviously wasn't in like theaters or whatever. I remember like specifically, you know, my dad grabbing that one. He didn't consult us or anything. And, you know, he was just like, yep.
This one looks dope.
Yeah. Yeah, right? Like, this one looks sick. Bringing this one home, I don't care what they say. So I think if I had to guess, I don't remember like the exact age, but if I had to guess, I was about like 9 or 10. And I honestly don't even know if he looked at the rating of it or whatever, but we watched it and no one kicked us out, which was kind of a big deal at my house. They did try to keep us from like violence and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think they looked at the rating. We just watched it. I don't remember there being any objections either.
This has been a topic that gets brought up quite a lot for this question. But like, I swear when we were kids, our parents weren't too concerned about what we watched, but also the films themselves weren't that bad, if that makes sense. So like, we definitely watched Terminator 2 too young. And like, to the point where I had Terminator action figures. Like, why were there action figures for a fucking Terminator film?
I had RoboCop action figures
right?
and stuff like that, yeah.
And you know,
Even Judge Dredd, actually, which is
yeah,
crazy to think about now. Yeah.
that's bonkers to think about now. And you just think like they had violence and maybe a few swears in them,
Mm.
but not like maybe a flash of tit, but not too much.
Wasn't gratuitous.
It wasn't gratuitous. Like, and you knew they weren't going to watch fucking Basic Instinct with us, you know.
No.
But like Speed, what are you going to see? You're going to see something blow up, maybe.
Well, yeah, you're gonna see that old lady try to get off the bus.
Yeah, and you never see her head come off.
No, well, so it's so funny. Like I bring that up specifically because that's one of the things that I like remember vividly, and like even as like a kid, and I don't know, maybe this is part of it. Maybe like the practical effects aspect of it is, maybe like worth talking about. But like I remember that scene when she's like, I gotta get out of here, like I gotta go, and she's ignoring Keanu and Sandy, and she hops. And Dennis Hopper pops her. And I remember watching that scene and having two thoughts. One being like, and again, this is coming from somebody who did not look into, like, I just watched movies.
Yeah.
I just watched films. They just happened to me. I didn't think about anything that was behind it. But I remember very vividly being like, that's not her real body on the highway.
Nice.
That is like a doll. Like I've thrown dolls. I grew up with all girls. I've thrown dolls. I know what they look like. Cabbage Patch doll. I know what that looks like. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that was a super precise bomb.
Right? Like,
so I don't, it's been
a pop by the back door.
Yeah. Yeah. Like and I remember very vividly, again, I never bumped up against it. Shit just happened to me again.
That didn't set off the bigger bomb.
Yes, this is what I'm talking about. And again, this is coming from somebody who thinks Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze nailed New York. The grittiness of New York at the time.
Speed was LA.
Speed was LA. But I was so, even from somebody who's so ignorant, like I bumped up against that so much where I was just like, that's a super precise bomb. It just popped. And yeah, it didn't set anything else off and it just killed that person. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like there was no establishing of like motion. Yeah, like there was no establishing that like, okay, it's going to go off on this because it's like motion sensor. And correct me if I'm wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But if there was like something that was like strapped to each of them or something like that maybe that's what triggered it. Nope. He just got her with the precision of like just a sniper with a bomb.
And the bomb must have been something that he set, right? Must have been something that he set up on that back door.
Right.
Because he assumed people were going to try and get off at some point. But is that the only one? No, it's not. Well, it must be, actually. That must be the only one, because later on they do get them off that back door.
Yeah.
And you're just like, right, so if the first one's gone...
So if you were to just open that door and like just toss out a Satsuma, it pops.
Boom.
And then you're like, we're good.
Now we can all get off this fucking bus.
Yeah. I just need somebody else to do 50 next to me. And then we could, as an old lady...
I know
with the
this is
agility
also part
the
of the story, but have you ever driven in LA?
No, I haven't driven in LA, no.
You ain't getting 50. The amount of
Yeah,
fucking
he's kind of
traffic.
setting them up to fail.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. By the way,
you might, on one part of freeway, you might get 50 for a beat, but then the second you hit traffic, you're fucked.
Yeah. No, it's famously filled with traffic.
Yeah.
Like basically, I think more than New York, like more so than New York. LA is known for its
New
traffic.
York traffic moves, in my opinion. Like there's a lot of cars, but they're always
just volume,
going.
yeah.
LA, it was either fucking gunning it at 100 or block, no movement, go fuck yourself.
Also, it's been a while since I've seen it. Did you have to get to 50 in order for the bomb to trigger? It armed at 50. Yeah. So to that point, I mean, basically the only time you're setting that off is when you're pulling up to the depot.
Genuine. Like, you're going to get... Like, I don't know how many buses go on the freeway. I don't think many. So
I'd be speculating.
You know what I mean? So there's...
and I'm all about integrity here, okay? I'm not just going to throw around information willy-nilly.
Who am I? All right. Like who? Yeah, I don't know. Like if the bomb arms itself at 50 miles an hour, you're only hitting 50 if you get onto the freeway.
Mm.
He might have set that bomb up fucking months ago. And 90s
It's true.
LA, that was the worst for traffic, wasn't it? Like that was the
That's
whole
true.
point of like there was a Steve Martin film, LA Story probably, where the joke about it was rush hour in LA and he had to get his pistol out of his glove box. And it was like you're essentially shooting out other people's tires so you can get in front of them. And you're just like,
I
all right.
I like thinking about the idea of Dennis Hopper setting that up like months prior
Mm.
and just basically just falling asleep in his like underground lair chair
Yeah.
until it finally arms.
Can I also
He's
say,
like, wait, what?
LA
It
native
happened.
Dennis Hopper, so he
Right.
knows like this is the long con, people.
He's like, listen, the further I get away from this, eventually the security tapes are gonna just
They
get
won't even
overridden.
know.
They won't even know. They'll have no idea.
Fucking hell.
It's a good film.
It's a great film.
Really bulletproof. Like really locked in.
I
from
think there's a
plot
single
perspective.
fault with that film.
We'd be digging if we tried to find one. So the other one was The Rock.
Right.
But my memories of that are just like my current memories of that. It was badass.
Yeah.
It was awesome to watch. And it was action packed.
Similarly, like Con Air, The Rock, those kind of films, like Mum and Dad would have got them, and we would have had them on. And similar with us, we would have the family film, and then you get Mum and Dad would get an adult film, and sometimes they would put on the adult film, and like you'd watch it for half an hour, and then be like, "All right, boys, bedtime, off you go," or you just watch it. And like when the bad bits were happening, namely Terminator 2, when he's cutting the skin off his arm, Mum would just say like, "Cover your eyes, boys," and that was it.
Yeah.
So with The Rock, I too remember watching that film as a kid, but not until I was probably in my sort of like teens or early 20s that I watched it again and gone like, "Oh, The Rock," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, I just and like I said, I don't remember. I mean, so this was a few years later, but like my dad, and so actually not just my dad, my mom too. My parents were both fans of James Bond movies,
right,
so we would watch a lot of that, and I think for whatever the reason that was again like when we talk about like the acceptable violence
yeah,
thing. I think for whatever the reason, and maybe I'm misremembering, but hey, they can get their own podcast. Like I just think that was just acceptable. Like it was just acceptable violence. Like I think it was just no, look, it's going to be a shootout.
It's a shootout, and it's not like someone's got shot, but all they've done is like grabbed their chest, done a bit of a half spin, and fallen over. Like
yeah, and that's what I said before about like the practical effects aspect of it, where it's not. And again, practical effects can get pretty intense, but like the Terminator, like cutting his arm kind of thing, that was crazy. But yeah, I just think there was it's so different now. Like it feels like this, not the stakes aren't necessarily higher, but for lack of a better term, excuse me, like impossible violence has, like, it just feels like it's just been ratcheted up to like be more real.
Yeah.
That, even though, like cutting your arm, that's probably what it's going to look like when you cut your arm, the machinery underneath notwithstanding, but like that's what it's going to look like for whatever the reason. Yeah, it's cover your eyes for that one. But yeah, like The Rock,
but then there's not even like, I don't think we would have watched Saving Private Ryan. That would have been something that Mum and Dad would have been like, this isn't.
Well, think about how real that was.
Exactly. That's,
you know what I mean?
Like that's when it starts to get proper, and you're there like, ugh.
I guess maybe that's the way it, like the and maybe it's a what's the phrase, a difference without a distinction, or vice versa, or whatever, or a distinction without a difference.
Sure.
But like it felt like in Saving Private Ryan, the message was,
look how fucking horrible this is.
Yeah, this is awful, so we are going to do everything in our power to ensure.
I think that was the first like war film where it didn't look like a bunch of boys having a good time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Every other war film, I know, like
there.
Platoon has its moments and Apocalypse Now has its moments, but there is also a point where it's like, this doesn't look too bad, This looks
No, yeah, there's
like a bunch of boys.
there's a community.
Just
It's a bit of community. It's
smoking cigarettes. This is great.
you know what it is. It felt like those moments were the outlier, the exceptions to what was otherwise.
Yes.
Not great, maybe not perfect. Could be better. Like a 3.5, 4 out of 5 kind of time. But like for Saving Private Ryan, it was like no.
No, it's dog shit from
We're
day
not.
one. From the
from
second,
jump.
it's shit.
And again, speaking from not a place of I have no experience with that whatsoever.
You were on D-Day landing.
I had not been. No,
Oh,
I had not been. I know my name is there. I don't know why.
listen, I put my name on the World Trade. I'm not gonna make that joke.
No, just cut that.
It bailed out that one.
But message received, my good friend. Message received. But no, I think it's so that's kind of what I think of now. Where, and again, maybe it's maybe I'm kind of being hypocritical now at the time or whatever. Maybe it's just growth. When I see something like, again, Cars 2, shout out to Cars 2 again, with like a full blown, like there is an M16 that comes out of the side of this car.
Dope.
It's a British car, by the way. It's like,
then it shouldn't be an
like
M16.
It shouldn't be. So it's all over the place. I'm not saying that it's
What's the British car?
accurate. So I don't know to what degree they're actually allowed to use the things. It is built like a Jaguar, like a 007
Okay, right.
Jaguar. But yeah, like just slides out, and it starts with like he's trying to do over like a tanker ship, and there's all containers everywhere, and there's very clearly, I think they're like torturing a guy, which is a car, but like I think they're torturing a guy,
taking
and he's kind of in there to like yeah like rough, like even something like that would be like not funny, but like it makes sense. But they're like like smash his headlights.
Oh,
But like their headlights are like their eyes or something.
Yeah.
Again, like it's. So yeah, no, it's fucked up. Like it's pretty fucked up. But yeah, I think it's kind of interesting to
I
kind
got a
of
lot
think
of
about it
questions
back
about those
then.
Cars films. I don't I don't know how it
Naturally.
works. You know what I mean?
Inevitably,
Who's
there's gonna
making
be
the
questions.
cars?
God.
Oh, so
Asked and answered. Let's move on.
what was the first film you watched that you considered grown up?
Listen, I'm going to take this time to point out what a good podcast host you are. You're keeping us on track. You're keeping me honest, and you're keeping this thing on rails.
Keeping it going, keeping it tight.
So, like I said, I have listened to all of these podcast episodes
At time of recording.
At time of recording.
Have you listened
Actually,
to...
no, that's not true.
Yeah.
At time of recording, I haven't watched the latest one.
I was about to say, like, so you
Plankenstein,
listened to the Plankenstein one, have you? I don't...
No, I saw it yesterday and I was like, oh shit. I was so excited, but I was as sick as a dog.
I do feel like I should acknowledge this at some point, or re-record the promo. But in the promo, I say that I'm going to release these every fortnight, and so far I've been releasing them every week.
Yeah, sorry. I hate to say this, you guys, but I lied to you. You're going to get more content.
Yeah, exactly.
Than I originally said you were going to.
Exactly. But I don't want people putting in their calendars to miss a week. Oh.
And you don't. And listen, Spotify and other, wherever you get your podcast, they do make it easy for you to just put that on rails. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to mark your calendar. Just click follow,
like,
subscribe, like it, comment.
Leave a comment.
If you enjoy the conversation. So you just do it. It's just set and forget. And if you don't like it later, you can always click it off.
What was the first film you watched that you considered grown up?
So
Sorry. What was the first film you watched?
Pop the shit out of that pee.
Right?
So you can really own that one. This is what episode 9. You're just comfortable.
Pop!
Peas will pop.
I even asked the second question incorrectly because I got sick of asking what was the film you watched over and over as a kid. I was like, as a kid, what film did you watch over and over?
Yeah, there you go. Comfortable.
What was the first film you watched that you could... Fucking hell. What was the first film you watched that you considered...
On your own time. Sorry. Get.
Oh my god. Alright. What was was the first film you watched that you considered grown up?
So, so I derailed this before, but I did mean I did. There was a reason why I said it. So I was listening to other episodes of the podcast, and it's interesting to kind of hear the dichotomy between like what defines kind of grown up. You had mentioned it a couple of times. Is it like an adult film, or just something that you felt like had adult situations or themes, or something like that. I actually had a slightly different one.
Oh, nice.
But I mean, it may have ultimately been the same. So the first film that I watched that I considered grown up was actually The Hunt for Red October.
Okay. Like, yeah.
So the reason that I thought it was grown up, and again, I thought about this like a lot. And like, you mentioned like Basic Instinct and, Disclosure was mentioned on the podcast before. Like those kind of office, like that, the corporate thriller kind of, thing, which did have a lot of that, those adult situations and adult themes. So we never really watched that in my house. Like I said, violence was kind of okay. But, things like, sex and even to an extent of like horror is just, not depending on what the horror is.
Well, my parents weren't horror people. They still aren't. So horror films just never made their way into our house because...
Yeah, they didn't enjoy it. And why would they bring it in for us?
They'd go for a thriller, but like they wouldn't go for Silence of the Lambs, It's that.
Yeah. There is, so there is that line drawn. So what I thought was grown up at the time was actually like, this is the quintessential my dad movie. He was into the kind of like political thriller, although that's partly political, like so political-esque thriller. He was into that
he
kind of thing. He
strikes me as a man that would read Tom Clancy books.
Big Tom Clancy guy. I was gonna say Michael Crichton too, but Michael Crichton expanded a little bit more, in some cases. But yeah, so what I kind of thought of, how I thought of grown up was what my grown ups, would watch. And that was totally his movie. So yeah, I don't really have much to kind of say on The Hunt for Red October specifically. Like I remember Sean Connery just being amazing. Cause he always is. I remember, the idea of a submarine going down like that. I think that was my first foray into, oh shit, there's people on that, and even if they don't like blow up, they're not gonna have a good time type of thing.
The submarine sort of anything underwater. So thalassophobia. I'm not good with water. I'm not a fan of it at all. Two of my favorite films: Jaws and The Abyss, and I also love anything set on a submarine. And I think it's for a similar thing where, to me, that is genuine peril. That's genuine, like, oh, fuck, you can't get out of this. If you tell me it's on an alien space planet, I'm like, that's not real. I don't care. Or if you tell me, like, oh, the threat is corporate espionage, I'm like, well, it's fucking bollocks, corporate espionage. Like, anything in the corporate world is horse shit. Like, whatever. But when it's like a submarine, I'm like, hold on, we could drown here.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Even if you get out of this, there's another layer of this. Getting
out of this tube is the worst thing that can happen. You've got to surface before you can get out of this.
Yeah. And that's before you factor in, which as a kid I certainly did not, like, depressurizing. Right. When you're making your way up there. There's a lot of peril
I think
that's associated with that.
The bends, quicksand, and what else? There was a third that I was really afraid of as a kid.
Quicksand, yeah, famously for our
really
generation was
quicksand was going to be
a big deal.
Yeah, there was going to be more of it, and surfacing too quickly.
Yeah, which was more impactful, right? Because you go in a pool, and even though you're never going to get, like, that's right? Literally not a thing. Yeah. It's almost as bad, like, or it's almost as prevalent as quicksand when you really think about it. It's like, I go in pools all the time. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm always in.
My eyes could pop out of my head.
I'm going into the deep end, and my ears are ringing.
It hurts.
And then you got to.
It's not great, but I'm going to do it.
I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to release my breath slowly as I rise because I don't want to get the bends.
That's right. The rings are down there. I got to get them.
Blum, 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 blum.
Who else but me? If not me, who? It's my time.
Oh, and sharks.
But no, I think it's sharks for sure. So it's really funny. Like Jaws. What can I say? I'm walking on my own thing. When you inevitably ask me what's my controversial opinion on a famous film, I was literally going to be like, I didn't care for Jaws.
Kick you off this fucking podcast, mate.
Yeah, I know. But so it's
you
funny.
know what,
So
Vince?
like
You can leave.
we don't. This will never see the light of day.
Yeah.
And our friendship is over.
Consider this like Jerry Lewis's Auschwitz film. In the vault.
So Jaws is amazing. Jaws is perfect.
It is.
And I think it contributed to that, like to the thalassophobia for sure, the fear of sharks type of thing. But one of the things that really gets me is like that the abyss being another one for sure. But like the kind of, it's not in the same vein, it's just in the same thematic vein. Yeah. Like something like Deep Blue Sea, when you would just see that thing cut, like when it's just a
through the
veil
water
of darkness, and then all of a sudden you just see that face, and it's like, dude, that bugs me out so bad. So yes, I think, you know, the idea that, you know, also just generally you don't belong there, right? There are things that belong there. No matter how fast you swim, you're not out swimming something that has evolved.
Fin. And like, I got friends who scuba, and they're always like, it's fine when you're down there. And it's like, get fucked, man. It's not fine when you're down there.
Fine is a spectrum.
You know what? Like, right. I'm breathing a tank of oxygen. I've got fake flippers on. Like, they're looking at me like, the fuck is this cunt? I'm gonna eat it. And I'm looking at them like, please don't eat me. And it's like...
And that's all I have.
That's all I have is please don't eat me. And maybe, as I've been told, bonk a shark on the nose.
Yeah.
And it's like, poke it in the eye. If I'm close enough to a fucking great white that I can poke him in the eye, I'm not thinking about poking him in the eye.
No. At that particular point, I'm thinking about all the big moments in my life before it ends.
Yeah, I'm thinking about all the hot dogs I didn't eat.
Well, I mean, you can't leave with regrets.
You know what I'm saying?
It's never too late to start stuffing dogs.
I should probably sign up to that Nathan's hot dog eating contest.
You should train for it. It's a sport, man. You can't just step into it.
Who the fuck am I?
You want to justify eating 17 dogs a day and then upping that, like, each week to 18?
I would say, I think my peak dog is like 3 to 4.
I was going to say, there is something about hot dogs, no matter how hungry I am. If I'm at 4, I'm hand on the wall. Like,
I'm hurting. I'm hurting.
Yeah.
And like, they get me. They get me so bad.
Yeah. So Sean Connery, Hunt for Red October. That was my grown up movie.
Yeah. Go from hot dogs to grown up movies.
Remember I said you're a great host. Keep us on track.
What film holds a special place in your heart then? You've mentioned a few. Yeah. So
yeah. I was gonna say, so this one was tough because I think as somebody who isn't like just a pure film lover, like somebody like you know, and some of the other guests, like that just at this point in time appreciated the art. Every one of these has held like a really special place.
Yeah.
You know, in that, you know, they were impactful for me. So I will say that the film that holds a very special place in my heart is actually True Romance.
Ooh, good choice.
So as a normie, like I said, movie enjoyer, this was there was always like a disconnect, like I said earlier, I alluded to earlier. There was always this disconnect between what I was watching and the craft behind it. That there was a lot of people that did a lot of things to do this. And even like this held no real definition for me. I had no frame of reference. Like, what is this? You know, I only later realized that, like, you know, the actors themselves, sure, you know, the actors, but like the methods behind the training, the director of photography, you know, the audio that goes into these things, like the lighting that goes, like all of that stuff that goes into it. I honestly did not realize until much later in life. And True Romance is the first film that I watched where that connection was made.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. So like specifically, I mean, I think we've talked about it before, I'm sure. But the Dennis Hopper appears. I'm just realizing now. Guy is just where I am.
Mate.
It's just Hopper.
You're picking up what he's putting down. I hear you.
He's doing great. He's doing.
Well, he's
What's,
not
what is he
doing
up
great
to
now.
now?
He's
I don't know.
dead.
I was gonna say it's not. Admittedly, I haven't talked to him in a little bit.
Nah.
But no, Dennis Hopper and the Christopher Walken scene.
Mm.
You know, where that was the scene where looking I saw what was on the screen as opposed to just looking at it, as opposed to just watching it. This is art, and I saw crazily. I think what the where the synapse connection was made was watching the like the cigarette smoke, which I was always like, my father was a smoker. I was a smoker in high school, but there was always something about the visual of kind of like smoke above the eyes or in the light or something like that. Not the stale one that's been sitting there for a while that just looks like meh. Like, but as it's happening, right?
Yeah.
Smoke coming off of the cigarette. Like, it was that moment, seeing the way that was backlit and realizing that the smoke itself is not controlled. Like, the smoke is just going to do what smoke does.
Mm-hmm.
And realizing that, so you can only control what you can control to set that scene.
Yeah.
And that's when things really started to, like, to present that in such a beautiful way. That was when things started to click, where I started to see, oh, so if he were here, that wouldn't happen. If the light weren't here, that wouldn't happen. If the other person weren't positioned here, that wouldn't happen. That was that movie, or that film, because it really is a film. Like, that film really elevated my film watching experience after that, where I started to see those things a lot more. Because even when, like, the credits would roll, that kind of really didn't mean anything to me. Even in gaming, I know we've talked about it in the past, but like in gaming, you know, I never got into games. You know, I'm in marketing, for just my normal career. But I would always have loved to be in games. I just never knew what I could do in games.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, the credits would just roll. That connection again was really never made. So that True Romance definitely holds a very special place in that.
Yeah, True Romance is one of those ones that definitely holds a special place for me. I genuinely love it. It's the kind of film that when I watch it, I'm like, that's the kind of films I want to be known for making. You know, like, I don't watch Christopher Nolan films and be like, oh, I wish I was making those. I watch things like True Romance and think, like, that's what I want to make. Like, that's the kind of, like, films that I think are fucking badass. I'm like, that's one. But, yeah. I mean, the cast in it is so stupidly good. There's no way you'd be able to get a cast like that for any reasonable amount of money now.
Well, just the fact that Christopher Walken was just in that scene.
Yeah. But Brad Pitt was only in it as a stoner.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
It's like you think about it, like one of those, like,
was a fucking
yeah,
like nobody in that film.
He's the one that cut Dennis Hopper's hand. He's the one that sliced it open and then poured the whiskey on it. Yeah, it's a rough go.
Dak.
There is a like a realness to it that I think is amazing, because it's that innocence, and there's a lot of factors that go into one's film watching experience, but like just that everything is going to be fine. Like, everything is going to be fine. And just how still, again, like that's in that scene, he's like, he left his driver's license in the guy's hand, kind of thing. It's like, that's exactly what would happen.
Yeah,
that's exactly what would happen. Everybody likes to think that they would be like this mastermind, and have all their bases covered and all that kind of stuff.
You're leaving fibers. There's probably piss that's yours.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
In the same way that, like, this is definitely a tangent, but like No Country for Old Men kind of did that on the other side, where it's like, no, the system not more often than not, the system doesn't always get it right.
No.
The bad guy doesn't always lose because the system wins. Like, that doesn't happen, right? Mm-mm. So like you have two main characters that, like, yeah, you're following them. Like, of course they're going to make it out. They're the main characters. Like, why wouldn't they? And it's just like, no. Mm-mm. Like, this is just, no.
It's going to go horribly.
So yeah, it's love that movie.
So there was a hint earlier, but what's your controversial opinion on a famous film?
Yeah, so I didn't care for Jaws.
Get out.
No,
jump in the river.
It's even better if you leave in the reference from before.
Yeah.
I like it better. Okay. I have not gone back and watched this film. I have not gone back and watched this film in preparation for this. I wanted to. I did want to.
Sure.
So I'm not going to be able to talk about it like in detail, like extensively.
I don't know what the film is, but I reckon I can.
Uncut Gems was the worst film I've ever seen in my life.
Fucking right.
And one of the few movies,
100%.
and the reason for that was that it was one of the few movies that I could remember that I felt like, not that I was wasting my time, that it was wasting my time.
Yes. Yes.
And I did not struggle with this.
No.
I did not struggle answering this question. The extent to which I struggled was looking up to see if it was controversial to say that, because I know a lot of people around me loved it. And then I looked at like the Rotten Tomatoes and
Everyone
the
fucking
IMDb.
loves it.
Everyone loves it. I don't know what they're talking about.
No.
And the most inflammatory thing I'm probably going to say, maybe, I don't know, is I don't think they know what they're talking about.
No, that's the thing. Like, as a concept, the idea of like this guy, and he's always placing bets, and he's always on a knife edge, and it's always going horribly wrong, and, you know, these things all lead to the eventual ending of the film. All of that was done a lot better in Good Times, their previous film. And Uncut Gems, I think if it wasn't Adam Sandler, I think people wouldn't have given it as much of the time of day, because I think I've said it in previous things. I think I said it in the Plankenstein episode, that when Robin Williams, Jim Carrey, Adam Sandler, when they do a serious film, you kind of go like, ooh, they've done a really good performance. And it's like, they have done a really good performance. But I think you've now forgiven a bad film for that performance. And I don't think Uncut Gems was a very well-written film.
I think that is the biggest, like, I just did not have enough breadcrumbs to get home. And the end, like, by the end, I remember looking, like, turning to Christina and just being like, what the fuck? Like, what was that? Like, what was that? And to your point, like, yeah, the concept is, it's certainly not, you know, brand new. It's not like creatively groundbreaking, but it doesn't have to be, right? You know, it's the idea that you have somebody on the knife edge, you know, robbing Peter to pay Paul, like, how are you going to get out of this kind of thing? All of that makes perfect sense. But I think the way that it was, like, I didn't know that I'm supposed to be rooting for this guy. Like, I didn't feel, it wasn't even that I wasn't rooting for him or that I was rooting for him. I'm just completely apathetic to the person that's in front of me. Like, he's to the extent that I can tell, based on what the movie has told me, he's a reprehensible human being. Like I'm not rooting for him, like, by that definition, but also it feels like the movie kind of doesn't want me to root for him, but doesn't want to commit to that fully.
And, like, I love films that keep you on the knife edge. I love the kind of film that doesn't give you a satisfying ending. I love all of these things. I just don't think that this film was doing that. I think this film gave me an unlikable character that didn't have any redeeming qualities, but you were painting it that I was kind of meant to feel some sympathy, or at least understand, like, some compassion for the character. Whereas there was multiple moments where he could have sold the opal.
Just not done the thing.
Not done many things that you're just like, no, hang on, don't.
Now you're a partner. Now you're a partner in whatever happens. You're not a victim of this. You're a partner in this.
Bingo. And then I don't buy the ending. I don't think that, was it his brother-in-law that gets him in the end?
I think so.
And I'm just like, I don't believe that. I genuinely don't believe that. I think there'd be so many other things, other factors, or at least the brother-in-law wouldn't have done it himself. He would have hired a guy. Like, I don't buy it. And that's the thing. I don't buy it, and I don't like the character. I'm not expecting to buy Adam Sandler's character, and I understand that anti-heroes do exist and all of that. But it was such a miss. And it was, not only was it such a miss, it was such a sustained miss. There isn't a moment where I'm like, okay, it was a weak start, or okay, the middle act, whatever. They didn't stick the landing. It was just from the get-go. I was like, okay, yeah, so this film is all about tension, right? Oh, that's all this is. It's just about tension. Okay, all right, well,
yeah. And I've already established, and I mean it sincerely. Like I've joked around about it, but I am not a filmmaker. I am not someone who studies film, as a student of film, the way that you are and the way that like other guests are. Like I do think it's important in this particular respect to say that and to establish that caveat. But even something like the end, like the very ending before the credits roll, where he gets God, and we go into his eye, like he's still smiling, I think, and we go into his eye, and it's just like a galaxy, it's just like the stars and whatever, and then the credits roll, and it's like, is that supposed to mean something to me? Is that like something just from earlier? Like it's just, it's so unearned. Like there's so many things that are just unearned, that are just like, and look, like I said, I'm not a student of this. I'm sure there are parts of my book, in my story, that people are gonna be like, yeah, this isn't earned and anything like that. That's perfectly fine. What I'm not expecting my book to get in that particular analogy is a 9.4 rating on Rotten Tomatoes,
right?
And people saying that Adam Sandler got robbed for an Oscar.
He didn't.
I don't like. I don't think like it. I just, not to mention, the last 40 minutes of the film is basically just us watching like a rewatch of what was it, the 2017 NBA Finals, in a montage. Like it's just cutting back from Adam Sandler's face to Lakers Celtics. I think pretty sure. Like there's no tension there for me.
No, and I want to be careful about this next statement, but. I think it's very telling when things like the Coen brothers, they create some great films. They go their own separate ways, and it's very clear one of them was better than the other. And it's like, well, why are both your names on this, if whatever? And it's the Safdie brothers that did, Uncut Gems, but they both went off and did their own films. And the Smashing Machine is the one that everyone was like, this is going to be The Rock's Oscar winner. This is going to be amazing. And it turned out to be not very good. And then there's the other film that the other Safdie brothers done. And I can't remember it sounds bad. I can't remember what the film is, but I remember seeing the trailer and being like, that looks like a much more interesting film. And then you're like, right, so is it actually that Benny Safdie's not that good? And the fact he was put into these films and put into like these credits and things, that you're just like, why are they like, I don't know. It's just like, are you holding back the other person? Is this an idea that you kind of insisted on doing? And it's like, you're lucky that you had the other brother to sort of like get you there. And it's, I don't know. It's a bit of an yeah.
No, but it's, I think it's, I don't think it's an unfair point, because there's also the less, like I see what you're saying. Like there could also just be, you're just better together. Like there is a chemistry there that like, somebody's missing some aspect of what it is. Again, speaking with a fair amount of ignorance here. Like it may just be that, you are better together. Now, to your point, like if one brother is making this way better, making films that are way better than the other, then no, I don't think it's much. Like I don't think that's a necessarily an objectionable thing to observe, because I think it's just an observation. Like you were together, you did this. Yeah. And again, like when it comes to Uncut Gems specifically, like there were parts of that I thought visually looked very appealing. I can't honestly think of any right now off the top of my head.
No.
But that's not really a shot at it.
I wouldn't say I disliked how it was shot. It was meant to keep the tension, and it did through its edits and through its cinematography. Like it kept the tension, and the performances were acceptable. Acceptable to good. Like I'm not being shit when I say acceptable. Like they were good performances. They weren't bad performances. But ultimately the story was just so one note and one dimensional that I don't know how long the runtime was, but it fucking felt like it went on forever.
Yeah, it was a long time. It was a long time. I don't know what the runtime is either, but yeah, no, that is probably my most controversial opinion on a famous film, and I did rack my brain around this like after I did that, after I said that. Um, Again, right off the blocks, knew that was kind of my thing, but yeah, no, nothing else I think stands up to that. Anything else I would say would be like I don't think it's controversial.
Right.
Like talking about like Marvel movies and stuff like that.
Sure.
Just everything just become like formulaic. I think is probably like my biggest issue right now when it comes to the entertainment industry, just in general, like whether it be games or film or TV shows. Just
it's
it
all safe. So yeah, that's a good choice for your controversial opinion. I get in the comments if you disagree or disagree.
Get in the comments.
Get in the comments. But let's end on a nice positive note, maybe. Probably not. What have you been watching recently?
So, what have I been watching recently? I think in terms of so it hasn't really been a lot of films.
Okay.
Primarily just because like Christina and I don't have like I don't watch films on my own. I mean, I would, but there's just really nothing that jumps out. I mean, usually when we're watching something, we're watching it together. And again, we have a 3-year-old, so we don't really, you know, have a ton of time to do that. So, but when we do, like, so we've been watching more like TV shows that we can kind of catch up on. So, you know, little things, you know, Abbott Elementary is the one that we watched like last. But I think the ones that we're like locked in for, saying like, okay, this is, you know, what we need. I think the last one, and I know I'm forgetting one. I'm sure I'm forgetting one, but Severance was the one before that. So Severance is so we finished up the last season of Severance, which I think, you know, I don't think this is a controversial opinion. Like it wasn't as good as the first season, but I think it's because it was a lot of just by its very nature, like you already have answers to questions, and you can't have this. They almost have to resolve conflict. Yeah. Like conflicts that left off in season 1 to continue the premise of the show.
Yes.
Into season 2. So I think that, you know, I'm not really hating on season 2 or whatever in that way. I think there's just a baseline, you know, that it's going to be lower. I did like it. It just wasn't as good as the first season, but I think that's okay.
I think there should be a bit more of a push on letting shows just be one season. Like Severance is a oneer, leave you with questions, excellent. Prison Break, that show should have finished with them literally getting out, busting through the railings, and running into the darkness. That's how it should have ended, because they broke out of prison. Did they get free?
Yeah.
That's not the point of the show.
Yeah.
Breaking out.
Shots going off, you know, if you wanted to add a little bit, just, you know, boom, boom, boom. Did they get shot? Did they make it? Don't know.
And I think a lot of shows got given a second or third season that they just did nothing with them, because it was like, no, you've only got a first series idea, haven't you? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a solid first series, and arguably you probably should have just made a film. But if you've got 6 hours worth of story that you need to tell, I don't necessarily think you need to all the way. Severance, I think, needed to be a limited series because it was great. But I do think that there should be a thing of just like, just do one series. You don't need to do
it's funny. So the way that you just described Prison Break is like, that's, I mean, when people think of like the ending of Sopranos, right? Like, it's just like the ideas that you don't know, you know, and that Tony's, and again, I'm not saying this out of, you know, this is just my interpretation of it was, you know, that's a glimpse into Tony's life from here on out, however short that may be.
He will forever be looking over his shoulder.
And you're never going to know, like, is somebody coming for him? You know, is somebody coming for his family and all that kind of stuff? And it was great. It was, honestly, genuinely.
Perfect.
It's not a
perfect ending.
Prison Break, just in that specific example, like to further your point, had that built in exactly how you said it. Like exactly how you said it. That would have been perfect. So honestly, the shows that really I haven't watched, like it doesn't answer the question in the sense of like, what have you been watching recently? But like the last shows that really captured me that didn't feel formulaic were Schitt's Creek and Shoresy.
Oh, Shoresy, I agree.
Yeah, like I think, you know,
Shoresy just always kept you guessing where that show was going to go,
which is crazy for a show with that premise. Genuinely, like genuine. Like it's not a shot at Jared Keeso. Like hats off to Jared Keeso.
He could have phoned that in, and it still would have been excellent.
but but it was so good. It was
Yeah.
just it had such heart, and I think that's kind of the thing. He said maybe we'll end on a good note, and I'm going to destroy that. Is like I think that's my problem right now. What I've been watching, to answer your question, is actually Critical Role, like Dimension
Nice. Yeah.
20 and Critical Role D&D storytelling
Yeah.
right now. And I mean something else, but that's really the main takeaway, because I don't think it's formulaic, because I do think it's coming from a place of heart and just good, genuinely good storytelling for the audience that they're to whom they are telling that story. And I think, yeah, of course it's a game, right? So there is a formula, but like the idea of, if we check this box, this box, this box, and this box, we'll have a blockbuster.
Yeah.
We'll have a hit on our hands. And this person, to your point, early about the Safdie brothers, like, oh yeah, so what was the name of the Rocks thing?
Smashing
Something
Machine.
Smashing Machine. The Smash Machine, it's checking all those boxes.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's got a big name, it's got all that. But if it doesn't have, formulaically, it checks the boxes, but it's not a formula, it's a recipe. And you can go exactly by a recipe. And I think I'm using your words right now, from a previous podcast, but like you can have a recipe in front of you and you're adding exactly what you need, but it requires a little. That's where the art is being able to know why these things kind of work together, as opposed to just they exist,
Yeah.
and they are here and they are in there in the specific things. That's more like baking, you know what I mean? Because it does matter. But from a cooking perspective, that's what it is. So I feel like I've turned more to that kind of medium, because I feel like that's where I'm getting what I'm looking for from storytelling.
Yeah.
And so that's, like I said, I think Hollywood is right now, and again, caveat, not a student of film, not a student of any of that.
But you are an audience member, and audiences have a right to have those opinions, I think, because you may not be in the industry, but it's you that they're selling it to. And if you're not having a good time, or if you just think it's all a bit formulaic, then that's important. Like, they should be listening.
And it's everywhere. And I think, so we've talked a lot about video games. Like, I'm a big video game guy. It's the same thing there. I mean, Nintendo fucked up Mario Kart. And that's not to say that, like, it's not fun. Like, it was the same thing with
I've got no interest in it, though. That new Mario Kart looks boring.
And that's the thing, is you effectively, what they've done is they were like, okay, they're going against what people like. Like, they're giving you less of a thing, they're charging you more for the thing, and the core things that people like about these things, they aren't like abandoning. So like in that particular case, they've replaced, like, look, Mario Kart, you go on a track, you go around 3-5 times, whatever it is, and then it's over. They built these things to be like, oh yeah, if you drive along this like highway to get to the track, that's part of the race. And people were like, originally were like, oh cool, yeah, that's awesome,
that could be cool.
But then it turns out that driving down a highway is 2/3 of it. When you actually get to the track, it's just one lap. Who needed that?
I don't care.
Like, who wanted that?
Like, no one's asking for this.
And you see so many of these big games just all making the same mistakes. Like, they are trying to check those boxes. They are trying to, okay, well, if we have, a Call of Duty's the name, check. Gunplay feels solid, check. There's no content, doesn't matter. There's enough content, check.
They're playing online. They don't need story.
Yeah, they'll make their own. They'll make their own. Which, by the way, there is a world of that. Like, Fortnite is as big as it is because it's a sandbox and every time you do it. But it's just, so yeah, like, this is a very long-winded way of answering the question. But, yeah, I right now I'm turning to alternative media because I just don't feel like I'm getting what I need, what I'm looking for out of the traditional media.
Fair. I think that's a fair one. I think there is a distinct lack of heart in a lot of films and TV at the moment. TV isn't as bad, but it's still pretty bad. Like, I'm starting to notice it more in telly that they are just following the Netflix model of just churn it out, and if it appeals to the stakeholders, that's what matters. And it's like, have the stakeholders watched it? No. So What?
That's such a good way of putting it, because that's the checklist is for the stakeholders.
Yeah.
It's a defensible position to make. You know what I mean? It's not about making something good. It's about making something defensible.
It's about making money.
Work. Yeah. And it's about saying, like, okay, all of these things made money, so we added all of these things together, and that should equal money. But even if you get it wrong, it's like, well, look, but the math was good.
Yeah, it's the same with like Congo. If you ask Bruce Campbell, why would you turn down like Congo? It was written by Crichton, produced by Spielberg, got Laura Linney in it. Like, it's got big names in it for its time. It's all going the right way, and ultimately it was just a bit of a dud. So you can see why, you know, some people would pick a project just because on paper it looks good, but if there's no heart, it's got no fucking backbone to it. It's got nothing in there.
Yeah. Well, it's like the, you know, you've talked about it previously, but like, you know, the Jaws sequels,
yeah,
and, you know, certain Alien sequels. Again, not to, you know, rip any in particular, but just pointing to it and saying, yeah, no, these are all defensible things, and even good ideas to
Sure.
have to kind of keep these things going if the story makes sense. But I mean, at a certain point, you're going to lose something because you're going to cut corners, because you know it's going to make the money.
Yeah.
You know people are going to show up.
Well, I just think it's bonkers that films like Electric State cost $350 million, and I don't know anyone who's watched it.
I literally, not even being funny, don't even know what that is.
It's the new Russo. Oh, I say new. It came out earlier this year. New Russo brothers film, but it's got Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown in it, and
oh yeah,
Netflix spent $350 million on it, and I don't know why.
Do you think that there's an, and maybe this isn't, you know, I don't know, if you want to tell me to shut up, tell me to shut up, if we're way over, but do you think that there's like it really is just a function of like an oversaturation at this point, and that there's like almost an like $350 million, you could say, like, where, right? Most of it's probably going to go to Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah, and the Russo brothers.
And the Russo brothers. But like, is there just an oversaturation at this point? Like, it's almost like an arms race for new content, and is like, I feel like we're at a break-even point. Like we've reached that point of
I think
diminishing returns.
Yeah, I think the MCU really fucked everyone over because they proved that Infinity War and Endgame could make over, I think they're both over $2 billion at this point.
They're in the top 5.
Yeah.
All grossing all time.
And so now people are like, oh, money in, money out. So if you make a film for under $1 million, you could make 50. And if you make a film for over 150 million, you'll probably make 500 million to $1 billion. So that's the only place we're going to play, and no one's making films in the sort of 10 to 30 million range, really. Well, I feel like that's a great place to end on, because we can talk about your story by saying Vince has very kindly offered a signed copy of his book. So I don't know, get in the comments, say you want a copy. I don't know, tell me why you want a copy, and between me and Vince, we'll find the winner, and Vince will have a signed copy sent out to you.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting this in people's hands. Just published it recently. I hope you enjoy reading it as much as I enjoyed writing it.
I think people will. I think there's definitely, with the mixing of it being sort of very fantasy, but also video game and sci-fi, there's such a wonderful, like, you know, Venn diagram of like the readers that will enjoy this. So people, I do like, yeah, it's not just because it's my buddy's book, but I really think everyone should try and go and get a copy. So
I appreciate that, and I want to just thank you for having me on. Genuinely, it's an honor to be on here talking with you, and certainly with the lineup of guests that you've had so far. They've all been fantastic. So I consider myself privileged to be doing this, and you're doing great work. Keep it up, man.
Well, thank you very much. And yeah, I hope everyone buys your book.
Me too.
All right. Well, I'll see you in a bit.
All right, take care, bud. Bye.
This has been a Lovable Rogue Productions podcast. Thank you to everyone that listened. If you want to help out Your Life in Film, then download it, like it, share it, and give the pod a follow. I didn't realise till starting this that a download is the way they measure success and not just a listen. So, listening means nothing. Make sure you check out my guests on their socials, which will be in the description of the episode. Take a look at my letterbox. I've made a list of all the films that have been mentioned on the pod. There's fucking hundreds. So you can find some good films there. There are some good ones. There's some fucking weird ones, and I love them. Quick shout out to some of the podcasts I'm listening to. Caliber 9 from Outer Space. That's Robin Joe's. That's really good. And then The Villain Was Right. That's a great fun. Check that out. If you really want to be a mensch, give me that money. There's a link in the description. It'll explain it all. But a download and a share is excellent, and I actually appreciate that a lot more than you'd think. We currently have no sponsors, but I am open to them. I'll shill anything. I don't care. This has been a Lovable Rogue production. Thank you for listening.